Hey, what's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. We're back with another video. Today we're watching Carthu's Dojo, and we're watching the road to Ultra Instinct. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna break down the lessons and the teaching that Goku got before, to get Ultra Instinct, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it.
We all know that Ultra Instinct is a technique of the gods that Goku learned from Whis, but the journey to this godly technique goes even further back than you might think, to the very beginning of Goku's martial arts journey. His very first mentor was Grandpa Gohan, the man who took Goku in and taught him the fundamentals of training and martial arts. He couldn't impart much else onto Goku before he was killed though, but one final thing he taught Goku was to train his tail. This is something the Elite Saiyans did to remove that weakness from themselves, so it's actually a pretty smart lesson, almost as smart as hitting subscribe. Goku was reminded of this weakness during his fight with Grandpa Gohan later in the series, and this was one of many moments showing Goku that his defense needed to improve to the level of his offense. Goku then went on to learn from Master Roshi, the teacher who is most foundational in how Goku got to where he is today. His first lesson was an unintentional one, the Kamehameha. A move that took Roshi 50 years to create and master was replicated by Goku after only seeing it once, though it was nowhere near the power of Master Roshi's. This once again shows us Goku's ability to master the offensive aspects of his martial arts. Perhaps it's a personal inclination, or it returns to his Saiyan roots. But either way, his defensive abilities still seem to be lagging behind. When Goku becomes an official student of the Turtle School, the goal is to have Goku and Krillin break the wall of humanity, surpass human limits. But they must also be well-rounded, so Roshi educates them as well. He tells them that martial arts are the pursuit of health in mind and body, that those who misuse power or abuse others must be defeated with one mighty blast. Or more simply, train hard and enjoy life. He honed their bodies with manual labor in the morning, rested them in the afternoon, only to continue their physical training afterwards. Even their rest was only a short nap, as their minds were being trained as well. Wait a second, is this how Goku learned what sex is? The motto of the Turtle School is move well, study well, play well, eat well, and rest well. These were the ideals that the training was ingraining in Goku and Krillin, but they were too young and eager to understand it at the moment. They complained that they weren't being taught moves, but as I said before, this is foundational training. They are building bodies that are strong enough to compete in martial arts, not simply perform weak versions of impressive attacks. So he continued to train their minds and bodies, improving their strength with labor, their minds with studying, their reflexes with danger, and rounding them out as martial artists. He even reveals that the intention was never to teach them any martial arts directly, but instead to forge them so they can use what they already know as effectively as possible. The goal was never to win a tournament or beat an opponent, but to give them the tools to not defeat themselves. And it worked. Goku and Krillin were able to far exceed expectations when they finally participated in the Tenkaichi Budokai, to the point that Master Roshi himself had to enter in order to keep them humble, so they'd stay on the path of martial arts and didn't let ego destroy their self-perception. Something that we actually see for ourselves later in the series. During his time as Jackie Chun, Roshi continues to train the people he fights, like telling Yamcha he uses excess movement in his attacks, telling Krillin that desperation plays to an opponent's favor, and even teaching Goku, indirectly, the after image technique, a move that can actually bolster his rather limited defensive options, but even more directly showing him the consequences of dropping his guard mid-fight, which almost leads to an immediate victory for Jackie Chun. Jackie Chun also tells Goku that even in the most refined martial arts, it ultimately comes down to who's stronger. Wait a second, didn't he say the exact opposite in the DBS manga? What the hell is going on here? I'll talk more about that scene later in the video, but this isn't contradictory. Roshi goes on to think of other factors that make determining a winner more complicated, and in the end, it's a strategy that allows him to win the fight by using his height advantage. This is despite Goku likely having more power and energy left, as shown by him using a weaker Kamehameha, while Roshi couldn't perform one at all. After the tournament, Roshi doubles down on the main lesson he wished to instill. His disciples can't become overconfident or complacent with the tournament they just entered. There will always be someone better and stronger, a lesson proven right by the series going forward in general. After this, Roshi says he has nothing left to teach Goku and Krillin, so he tells them to forge their own path and discipline themselves further. As we know though, Roshi wouldn't be Goku's final master. And who better to further Goku's growth than the master that taught his master? I think I'm starting to see a trend here. After climbing Karin's tower, Goku studies under Master Karin, the god of martial arts, for 3 days. The very first lesson is to stop reacting to his opponent's movements and instead read them before they happen. The thin air of Karin's tower requires Goku to stop putting in extra movement, the lesson Roshi tried to instill in Yamcha in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. He even improves Goku's lung capacity by having him climb up the tower a second time. These lessons increase Goku's power, but also refine his ability to move in battle, limiting the amount of reacting he's doing and cutting down on unnecessary movements that cost precious energy. Then Goku demonstrates this growth in his rematch with Tao Pai Pai, who thinks Goku's new speed is impossible. You can see this training as the fundamentals required to use Ultra Instinct effectively later on. Now, the only place to go from the god of martial arts is to actual god, which is why Goku trains under Mr. Popo and Kami for 3 years. Popo tests Goku when he arrives on the lookout and immediately determines that he has great power, but he doesn't use it well. Goku thinks he's the strongest in the world after defeating Piccolo and forgot the lesson Roshi tried to instill. Because of that, he tried to defeat Mr. Popo with strength alone, something that would never work, and is a lesson further emphasized in Dragon Ball Super. Sort of. But we'll get there. Goku decides to train on the lookout and runs into the same problem as Karin's tower. The air is even thinner at this height, and any remaining wasted movements are working against him. He must crouch as quiet as the sky and strike quicker than lightning. And to do so, his heart must be still. Wait a second. I've heard this one before. Popo also tries to teach Goku to see without using his eyes. Presence, air movement, and even instinct are the essentials to victory. So when Kami finally agrees to train Goku, the very first lesson is to be still and train his spirit, which Goku demonstrates perfectly in the preliminaries to the next Tenkaichi Budokai. Kami also went on to teach Goku Namekian martial arts and even how to fly, but that doesn't really matter for this video. I just wanted to be clear that there was more to his training than just this. After this, Goku goes on to train under King Kai, his final master for a long time. King Kai sees Goku as the first person with the potential to master the Kaioken, something even he couldn't master despite creating it. Goku's first lesson requires him to catch bubbles, once again training his ability to use limited movements, but also increasing his power and speed due to the additional gravity. Now real quick, this next line I'm about to cover is different when it's repeated in the Dragon Ball Super manga in both Japanese and English, so don't get too caught up in the specifics. The general idea is still basically the same. King Kai tells Goku that to be the best in the universe, he has to be the best in body and mind, or potentially body and spirit. Like I said, not important, as it carries the same message. Balance is important in a fighter. The power of the Kaioken is offset by the calmness required to activate it. The same with the stillness that's required to gather energy for a Genki Dama. The principles King Kai instills in Goku with these techniques are building off the foundations that Mr. Popo and Kami had laid before him. After his time with King Kai, Goku's next master is no one. He becomes his own master, training himself for the conflict on Namek, the creations of Dr. Gero, and the resurrection of Majin Buu. While he does learn individual techniques or get advice from other masters, like Paibara teaching him a bit of spirit control and instant transmission on Yardrat, or learning the fusion dance from the Metamorans in the afterlife, he's otherwise on his own. There's no better example of this than Goku mastering Super Saiyan. Goku realizes the value of a calm heart, wanting to remove the restlessness and waste from Super Saiyan to make the regular Super Saiyan form the best state to be in during combat. He implemented the lessons he learned from his masters into his own training, coming to a conclusion that no one else could. That's all the more reason he changes from student to master and begins instilling what he knows in the next generation, focusing less on himself and more on Gohan, Goten, Trunks, Pan, and even Oob, which makes Super feel a bit weird, right? Why isn't Goku his own master anymore? Well, as much as mastering Super Saiyan was a step in the right direction, focusing on forms like Super Saiyan 3 was a step backwards. Once again, he has power that he can't use very well. In Dragon Ball Super, Goku is shown how far behind he actually is when he meets Beerus and Whis and learns about the multiverse. The lesson of there always being someone stronger was reignited in him, and he realized there's still much for him to learn, so he begins to train under Whis. I will say some things are a step too far backwards for me, like Whis saying Goku's biggest weakness is his overconfidence, which is exactly what Goku was able to see in Frieza back on Namek. It does kind of make sense because Goku was overconfident when facing both Kid Buu and Beerus, but I don't see it as a truly recurring problem.
You can say that because of the Super Saiyan form.
Wants to teach Goku is Ultra Instinct, the ability for someone's body to act on its own, thus cutting out the time required to think and react. A quick Japanese lesson, Ultra Instinct is actually a misleading translation. It's not some natural instinct. Migate no Gokui more accurately is translated to the secret of self-movement. This is a secret technique that requires training and time to achieve. Before the Tournament of Power in the anime, we see hints of this technique appearing in Goku, like when his body backs away from Beerus on its own, avoiding a fatal blow, or Goku dodging Bulma when he would never dodge an attack from her. People argue the first one isn't foreshadowing Ultra Instinct, but consider the fact that Ultra Instinct was foreshadowed in Resurrection F, the movie, before Super came out, and I think it makes sense, especially given Beerus's reaction. This technique of the gods is also the culmination of Goku's lessons to this point, and I think the Dragon Ball Super manga shows that better than anything else. As Roshi scolds Goku for relying solely on power to win the fight against Jiren, I don't think he can blame Frieza and Vegeta for this one. He remembers what he's been learning to this point. King Kai told him his spirit must be trained. Mr. Popo and Kami taught him to still his heart. Master Karin taught him not to waste movements, and Whis never said this to Goku in the manga. The Dragon Ball Super manga famously skips Resurrection F, so Ultra Instinct as a concept isn't introduced until right before the Tournament of Power with Vegeta. So this is a memory of something we never actually saw. Regardless, Ultra Instinct was always the main goal of Whis' training, and even Roshi says the motto of the Turtle School, giving Goku one final lesson on how to move well. This first attempt to access Ultra Instinct is extremely short-lived, but later, he's able to not only maintain Ultra Instinct sign, he realizes his heart must be calm, and because of that, he's able to push further into Ultra Instinct.
Yes,
Calling it mastered or perfected Ultra Instinct is kinda fine, but the point is that this form is Ultra Instinct. And yes, it is a form. We'll get to that. This was only a taste of what Goku's journey would lead to, since he couldn't access either version of Ultra Instinct at will after the Tournament of Power. Now we get into arcs that aren't animated yet, but I've already covered their stories in separate videos. The Moro arc takes place right after Dragon Ball Super Broly, and in it, Goku trains under an angel in training named Meris, the younger brother of Whis. Meris puts Goku into a training camp that will replicate the life or death scenario of the Tournament of Power to have Goku replicate the conditions that granted him Ultra Instinct the first time. Their training is interrupted before Meris can finish it, so the best Goku can do is transform into Ultra Instinct sign at will. A side note, I use the colored manga for these videos, but this panel actually has a coloring error. You see, Goku's supposed to be an Ultra Instinct sign in this panel, which is why they don't show his transformation and why his aura shape is exactly the same as the Tournament of Power. It's actually an amazing detail that I'm really sad they colored wrong. Goku's training could only be completed by Meris sacrificing himself against Moro, a final push of anger that Goku would have to remain calm through. This is just like the Tournament of Power, but this time, he has the strength to maintain the form, and it works. Goku can now use Ultra Instinct at will, but that was only the first step to a new journey. You see, Ultra Instinct, the technique, is able to be used in any form, but Goku needs to transform to use it as precisely as possible. So after the Moro arc, Goku trains with Whis to not only further master his silver-haired form, but also wield Ultra Instinct in any form, including his base. While he's not fully capable of it yet, he can use the technique somewhat proficiently in every form. Notably, as his forms get stronger, Goku becomes more proficient with Ultra Instinct, which is why his strongest form with the silver hair is the only one capable of utilizing the full Ultra Instinct.
Right.
For now. This journey isn't a complete one. Goku has to figure out his own way to use this godly technique like he started to in the Granola arc. And even more importantly, he needs to apply those lessons to all of his forms, not just his strongest. The road to Ultra Instinct is about not defeating oneself, the same path he started back when training with Master Roshi. From a low-class Saiyan warrior to a master of godly powers, this is the journey of the Saiyan who was raised on Earth, Son Goku. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet.
I ain't gonna lie, this fire bit by Carthu's Dojo. You definitely broke it down, man. I wasn't, you know, saying I didn't expect like all this to add up to each other. Like, wow, they just didn't pull Ultra Instinct out their ass. They probably did a little bit, but for the most part, he prepared for this his whole life, man. You know what I'm saying? Why he was the best to get it. He was the only mortal to ever achieve it. You know what I'm saying? Vegeta don't need Ultra Instinct or Gohan either, because he wasn't built up to have it. You know what I'm saying? So that's fire. Anyway, if you like my reactions, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.